Good evening and welcome to the January 16th meeting of the Richmond Common Council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer by Dr. Wright. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, you said where two or more gathered in your name, you're amongst us, dear Lord. Thank you for this day that we've not ever seen before, nor will we ever see again, dear Lord. Bless the least, the last, and the lost, the marginalized, the homeless, the hungry, the hopeless, those that are disenfranchised, underserved, underrepresented, and misrepresented, and those that are not represented at all and are voiceless. Guide us to do your will for this community and those individuals and all of the citizens of Richmond, Indiana. Guide us, protect us, correct us, and direct us in your ways. In the mighty name of Jesus, by the power of the Holy Spirit, amen, amen, and amen.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Doug Goss.
Here.
Lucinda Wright.
Present.
Bill Engel.
Here.
Larry Parker.
Here.
Ann Taylor.
Here.
Gary Turner.
Here.
Jamie Bumbalow.
Here.
Justin Burkhart. And Jerry Purcell.
Here.
8 are present.
Mr. Burkhart has an excused absence tonight. Well, we received minutes from our January 2nd meeting. Any comments, concerns?
I have reviewed the minutes, and I'd like to make a motion to accept them.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve our January 2nd minutes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Tonight, we do have a presentation by Mr. Howard Price, who I invite to come forward. Hold forth. You're welcome.
Mayor Euler, President Turner, members of the council, I'd like to thank you for this time. I kind of know where this litter thing stands on the totem pole of important business in the town, but I think it is important to point out some of the problems that we may have here in Richmond, whether or not they can get solved. That's probably another issue. But you should have in your packet there some things about the litter ordinance. Being in the Air Force, I kind of sometimes get into maybe a little bit too much of a attention to detail kind of thing. So there are some things that I'm recommending to you that you might look at for a change, which would be to the litter receptacle section where we say public streets. I don't think we have litter receptacles on every public street. It would be nice, and that might help with the litter thing, but it's just prohibitive from a cost standpoint. So I think we really need to take that out. We've got receptacles mentioned on a bunch of articles below that. I think that suffices on that particular article. The other thing that I wanted to address in my letter to you and on the board, the enforcement thing. I know that the code people go through and they look at the abandoned buildings and look at the yards and they have them clean that stuff up. But that is not really, it's kind of addressed indirectly in the litter ordinance itself. There's enforcement there of a $100 fine, I believe, or under penalties rather. Is what I would like to recommend. Right now, it's at $25. If you go to even some smaller towns like Cambridge City, they have a $100 fine. Newcastle has a $100+ fine. It goes up to a certain amount. They also mention in Newcastle a large amount of public service. I think if somebody would have to do public service for 8 hours or 16 hours, picking up litter from downtown, the central part of town, that might get their attention. The enforcement part, I think the thing that I've kind of seen sometimes, I've just seen when I've been driving around, people open up the window and out it goes. And a $25 fine, I don't think means much to anybody, even if we were to go ahead and try and enforce that. But a $100 fine might get their attention. The next thing to that, even if we have the $100 fine, is the next thing is, I know we're understaffed in the police department and other areas, but we have to get people to enforce this stuff. If it's not enforced, there's not going to be any emphasis on it, and we're going to have the same litter we've got from out there at the shopping mall all the way through to the other side of the west town, on the other side of town there. So I don't know how we can put some emphasis on that, but we need to get some emphasis on getting those fines assessed and taken care of and mentioned to the public so that they know what's up there. There's not one litter sign that I've seen in this town to let anybody know what's going on with litter or the fines or anything like that. And those signs could be from fairly polite to fairly direct. So that might be one way to go. As far as the people that have responsibility for enforcing this stuff, it talks about the Parks Department, talks about other people. I don't think anybody from the Parks Department has enforced a litter ordinance or a code violation. So I'm just kind of curious, do those people even know that they can do that? So again, that's something maybe we could look into to help with the litter problem. So whatever you can do to put some emphasis on the litter situation in this town, for me, it would be much appreciated. When I moved back here, I just thought the town just doesn't look right. It's not inviting to me. If I was going to put a business in here, I would go up and down Main Street. I'm going, really? And kind of an aside, if we can get the state to fix our curbs along Main Street, that might be nice also. So I know it's a little rambling. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your efforts.
Well, we appreciate your comments. And I will say that we've been working towards recodifying all our ordinances for a long time now. And among very important things that's to happen within the context of that effort is to completely update our fine structure because we're very far out of whack with some of our peer communities around the state. And we're well aware of that, and I would hope that maybe this year we can get it done. I hope. But thank you for your
It would be nice. Appreciate it. Thanks
Thank
for
you
your time.
very much.
Thank you, Mr. Price.
Good evening.
communications from the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pull closer to the mic here. I handed the council members and the media a flyer for our emergency warming shelter up at Oak Park Church on 1920 Chester Boulevard. This warming station's open whenever temperatures drop below 25 degrees. This is volunteer ran, so there's a QR code for you techies if you want to become a volunteer, and there's a QR code if you want to donate. So that's an important thing to help people with warming. And it's not necessarily people who are unsheltered. It could be people just with problems with their furnace need a place to go. So it's anybody who needs help. The previous administration would always give announcements about upcoming events, and I'll do just a little bit of that, not as much. Since WayNet has disbanded, the community calendar's gone, and I'm not advocating for this particular site, but WayneCounty.info is one I started using. That's ran by the people who own Western Wayne News, so that tells you that it's probably updated regularly and pretty good. So WayneCounty.info is the one I use, so I'm not marketing for them, I'm not speaking for them, I'm not advertising for them, I'm not, what's the word? I can't legally,
Promoting them?
Yeah, promote.
anyways, you know what I mean? But I do use it, and I find it very helpful. I will mention a couple other things. The Boys and Girls Club Annual Dinner is coming up January 23rd, so go reach out to that. The big thing happening right down here is our Meltdown Winter Ice Festival, January 26th and 27th in Elstro Park, so hopefully you'll come out for that. And Winter's Farmer Market still ongoing Saturdays down at the Star Jeanette Building in the park, 9 to 12. And the county wanted me to remind you or let you know, the Soil and Water Conservation District has their annual meeting and banquet coming up January 29th at the Coleman Center. The Soil and Water Conservation District has an office in the annex, and you can get a ticket over there. And the Parks is bringing back the Wood Weekend Day, where people will be able to come and harvest down trees in Glen Miller Park for firewood. So that's February 3rd, 8 to 4. But they need to visit the park office now for sign up and going through all the protocol and the safety procedures. So park office is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So you can get signed up for that. One thing I do want to tell council, though, your finance committee should plan to start meeting 6 p.m. February 5th is our next council meeting. You should plan to meet at 6 o'clock. The controller who's not here tonight, it couldn't be here, will have reconciled financial reports for the end of the year. And I've asked her to have those monthly, as we're supposed to have monthly reconciled financial reports for the finance committee. So it'll work out that the 5th will work, but most likely it'll probably be, I know the finance committee has historically met when needed, but I want to make sure they lead on a monthly basis, because if you look at city code, it's in there that they should be on a monthly basis. So at least the third Monday, the second meeting of the month, we should have reconciled financial reports every month. But for this one, we should have the year end. The year end is kind of coming together. Tracy's nodding her head yes, but it should be finished by February 5th and have really good solid numbers and feel better about our city. I think I do.
Good.
That's all I have, unless you have questions.
My only question is, what happened to WayneNet?
December 22nd, they got tired and went home. No, I don't know. They left the office, they took the computers,
They lost
they,
sponsors.
I'm sorry?
They lost sponsors and it
Yeah.
was-
They just, everything changed on their sponsors and.
Any other questions for the mayor?
Yes, Mayor, is there a possibility that we could get 3-year ends for the last 3 years for the departments in the city to review?
They're out there. I mean, every year we have them.
I mean, can we get copies of those?
They're online, aren't they?
The deputy controller especially for the new council members, have probably never seen them. That's probably why he's asking. Yeah, so year-end financial reports for 3 years. Awesome. Because we normally get them every year, but you're right, you're new, you haven't seen them for 3 years.
Yes, thank you.
Makes sense. Cool. Glad to help.
Any other questions?
Mr. President,
Mr. Engel?
Mr. Mayor, do you know about the emergency warming shelters, what the turnout has been?
No, I don't.
I can answer the
Somebody
question.
was in my office today, but I forgot to ask him, somebody from there.
Yeah, I volunteer there on a regular basis, and last night we had 12.
Okay, good.
And it really is nice to go there and help them. I encourage people that are night owls to sign up. I'm not. I'm a morning person. But it's very good. It's a good way to connect with different people you may not even be familiar with or know very well. And, you have a chance to communicate with each other, get to know each other, and then interact with the people who come in. And it's just a really great thing. So, and it's really nice because once you get connected in there, it's a really neat document. You just sign, it's all electronic, and you sign up for the amount of time that you want to stay. And if you want to tweak it a little bit, you can put it down at the bottom. I can't come at this time, but I can come at this time. And it's very helpful. They send you email reminders and also a text message. So it's very well put together.
Great, thank you.
And also, Mr. President, I sent each council member an email with the information about the warming stations, because Oak Park is not the only one,
Yeah,
I believe.
that's right.
Morrison Reeves Library.
I think that's
It's
during the
also,
day. Yeah, this is the
warming
one that's for
station.
night, for warming stations for the daytime.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And thank you for that.
you're
very
welcome.
good.
I appreciate that, thank you.
You're welcome.
I believe if I'm correct, we post those at all the fire stations too, those flyers? Cool.
So you received minutes for December 21, January 4, from the Board of Works. Any concerns about those? We have no department reports tonight and no miscellaneous business, so we'll go on to ordinances on first reading.
Mr. President,
Mr. Goss.
I make a motion that we read ordinance 1, 2, and 4 by title only.
Second.
And 1 has actually been withdrawn. So
Oh.
we won't be hearing that. But we have a motion and a second
That's right.
to suspend the rules and read by title only. Please. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Made the second.
Me.
Okay. Ordinance number 1, 2024, number 2, 2024, a special ordinance amending the zoning map for certain parcels from medium-density, single-family residential districts to planned development districts with mixed-base residential zoning designations. R2, medium-density, single-family residential. R3, high-density, single-family residential. UR, urban residential. And M2, intense multifamily residential.
Good evening, Beth Fields, Director of Strategic Initiatives. I am here for Dustin Purvis, Zoning Administrator, this evening, who couldn't be with us. Ordinance 2, 2024 is an ordinance and establishment plan for a planned development across 5 properties that are currently addressed as 0 South 37th Street. The proposed planned development would allow the creation of a mixed residential neighborhood project. The petitioner, 11th Street Development, is requesting that the development's current base zoning district of medium-density, single-family residential be changed to a combination of sub-districts within the development whose base zoning districts would become medium-density, single-family residential, high-density, single-family residential, urban residential, and intense multifamily residential, respectively. This means that if approved, the above zoning districts' development standards that are outlined in the Unified Development Ordinance in Article 5 will apply to their assigned sub-districts within the planned development. In total, the project proposes 178 new single-family units and an undetermined number of multifamily units, the maximum amount which would not exceed 250. This ordinance is respectfully requested to be referred to the Richmond Area Plan Commission for public hearing at their January 24th, 2024 meeting at 5:30 p.m. Letters have been sent to the adjacent property owners to let them know about the meeting, as well as another outreach was made by 11th Street Development to the property owners as well, inviting them to a neighborhood meeting specifically for those adjacent property owners. I'm happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
Any questions for Beth?
Mr. President,
Mr. Parker?
Beth, the developers aren't able to be here tonight, right?
Since it's not on public hearing, we did not invite them to join us this evening.
I'm the councilman for this district, and I have received several calls, and I have all types of questions for them.
Yeah, they are happy to schedule a meeting. You're also more than welcome to attend tomorrow night's meeting as well.
Tomorrow night is at 6:30, I see that.
Correct, yes.
And, but I think that these questions not only will be, I'll ask these questions tomorrow night, but I think they should also be asked on the floor. And I would like to have asked them before they go to the planning commission, because there are several things on there that I think the property owners that are adjacent to this would like to have answered before it goes to the planning commission.
Okay.
But if
Yeah.
it goes to planning commission, the planning commission won't have the opportunity to have heard some of these questions or answers.
Well, I beg to differ in that the Plan Commission is where we always hear these things first. And of course, that's a public hearing where people are invited to come and make comment, ask questions. And the process, I think, is reasonable in that that's where the main public hearing's held. And when it comes to us for approval, they will be here to give a full presentation. Obviously, we have the liberty to ask whatever questions in addition we might have and make whatever comments we might have. But I don't disagree with the idea that the developer is not here tonight, because we would otherwise find ourselves probably hearing the same presentation 3 times.
Well, I think I halfway agree with you, but
Okay.
but I don't know. don't agree
That's close
100%.
enough. That's close enough, Larry.
Because I think those questions should be able to have been asked before it goes to planning. Because I think that some of those questions might determine how they feel, how the Plan Commission would feel about it. Because they're going to vote on it without these questions being asked.
Mr. President, if I may, the neighborhood meeting is a week before the Plan Commission. The neighborhood meeting's tomorrow night, and Plan Commission's the 24th.
Correct.
So there's your time. That's a
Right.
public forum.
The only, well, except the Plan Commission won't be there tomorrow night to hear those questions.
Some will.
I'll be there.
Okay. All
Mr.
right.
President, I have a question. In the absence of a current master plan, has anyone considered the impact of the heavy-density apartments on the current projects we have on the table? And the
Yes.
success of those?
Yes, those are included in our 2016 comprehensive plan, which is still valid. It's a 10-year plan, but it is updated every 5 years, so there'll be an update to that. 2024 is the last year of that 5-year time period to seek funding based on that plan. And there have been multiple housing studies that have been conducted by Tracy Cross and Associates under the direction of the Economic Development Corporation of Wayne County, indicating our need for housing. And the study indicates that we need, over the next 5 years, approximately 500 plus new units of market rate housing in Richmond and Wayne County. So the developers that we're working with, we share that report with them so that they can then make their informed decision as to whether or not to pursue an opportunity here. That study also indicates the lack of single-family housing that we have available and indicates the new number of units. And I apologize, I don't know that number off the top of my head, working much more time with apartments. But that number is also a large number that we have for additional single-family units.
Thank you.
Mr. Parker has a few more questions.
Sure.
What is the majority of this land? How is it R1 or is it agriculture or
It's R2.
R2?
So will be the underlying base district. There hasn't been anything currently on that location. So the map that you see is a concept drawing of the planned development that they plan to have with the clustering of the different types of living units that will be built on this property. This planned development, I think it's important for council and the public to know that this being approved by Plan Commission and ultimately council does not give someone else, another developer, the opportunity to come in and just do anything that they want. Once this plan development is put in place, then those are the zoning requirements that are in place. So if someone else wanted to do a plan development, if for some reason this didn't go forward, they would have to come back and start this entire process over again.
Is this company involved with Reed as well, since Reed owns the land, or have they bought the land from Reed?
They have not yet purchased this land. They are working in partnership.
It just seems to me like 428 units in that amount of land is an awful lot of units for that space. I assume that's the reason why they had to go to planned unit development, because no other way, because they put that many units up.
Well, part of the reason for the planned development is the different types of housing that they're going to have. So they'll have single-family housing. They'll also have cottages, which are also single-family housing, but they're attached. So that's different than what you would typically see. So that's a different type of zoning, as well as the apartments. And then there'll be a section that has custom homes as well. And so looking at all of those different types of homes, to put them all in that single location requires the plan development.
Whose responsibility is it to go to American Water to see if the water will be adequate for that?
The developer.
The developer? That's a big concern of the people that live near there, because their water pressure is 5 gallons per minute.
Okay.
And if they add any additional to that, we're going to have to start pouring it out of a bucket. Okay, I'll have all my questions for him tomorrow night. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. We do send it to the Plan Commission for a hearing.
Ordinance number 3. Is that right? That should be 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. An appropriation ordinance authorizing the submittal, acceptance, and appropriation of a grant from the Indiana Department of Transportation.
Good evening, Greg Steens, Director of Public Works and Engineering.
Good evening.
The Indiana Department of Transportation is accepting applications for state funds to assist in local street paving projects. The state of Indiana will contribute up to 50% of the cost. There are 12 streets that are identified in Exhibit A of the ordinance. Total estimated cost to mill and pave these 12 streets is $640,051.89. The city's 50% local match will come from motor vehicle highway funds and redevelopment funds. Might add, over the last 7 years, we've received about $5 million worth of grants, community crossings grant funds, and we matched that. So we've done about $10 million worth of work. We've milled and paved 45 miles of road out of 192 miles that are in the city. So it's a great program for the city, and the mayor wants to continue doing that. The grant application deadline is January 31st, 2024. We also have an opportunity in July to apply for another grant. We can receive up to $1.5 million this year in matching grant funds, and I recommend approval.
Thank you, Greg. Any questions for Greg? Did the Finance Committee review this tonight?
Finance Committee did not meet. The chair of the Finance Committee is out of town. If the mayor has an opinion, the mayor met with the controller last week. We have more than this amount of funds in the budget set aside. So the mayor would recommend moving forward, but that's just an opinion.
What's the pleasure of council?
Mr. President,
Mr. Goss?
when is this grant due?
Into January. It's in on the
Yeah.
letter,
Our last
January
meeting
31st.
before it's due.
Yeah, this is the last meeting, so I kind of really had to
Right.
get it in. But the money is there. The motor vehicle highway funds are from the street department. The redevelopment funds, that the only money we'll use for that, out of that, would be the Round Barn Road section, which is in the TIF district.
Gotcha.
And every time we've ever applied for those funds, they've always came up with the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. President,
Mr. Parker?
I'd like to suspend the rules and advance ordinance 4/2024 to second reading, read by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and advance this ordinance to second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I now declare this ordinance on public hearing.
I have to read it first.
Please do.
Ordinance number 4, 2024, an appropriation ordinance authorizing the submittal, acceptance, and appropriation of a grant from the Indiana Department of Transportation. Okay.
Thank you. Now we have a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for this ordinance, please come forward.
David Carpenter, 400 Richmond Avenue. I'm in complete support of this ordinance because I think it'll be vital for our city to obtain it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone wishing to speak against this ordinance, please come forward.
Move for engrossment.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Call the question.
Second.
Doug Goss,
Aye.
Lucinda Wright,
Aye.
Bill Engel,
Aye.
Larry Parker.
Aye.
Ann Taylor.
Aye.
Jane Bumblew.
Aye.
Justin Burkhart. Larry Purcell. Jerry Purcell. And Gary Turner.
Aye.
8 are in favor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That takes us to ordinances on second reading.
Ordinance number 51, 2023, a special ordinance authorizing the approval of a statement of benefits for a property owner applying for deductions under Indiana Code 6-1.1-12.1.
Mr. Goss.
This request is from Manisha Packaging Company, formerly known as Color Box. I'm going to speak to both 51 and 52 here.
Okay.
The 51 is for personal property, estimated investment of $50.3 million. They're requesting a 4-year abatement. And 52, 2023 is for real property, estimated investment of $6 million, and they're asking for a 9-year abatement for a total of more than $56 million. This will help retain 271 jobs with a starting wage of $18.65 plus benefits. There will be no new job creation. There was a misunderstanding on the original SB 1 for the field number addition, so that we've clarified that. The committee met with Menasha last week, and we are very impressed with their operations. The investments will help them expand their capabilities and capacity. The Tax Abatement Committee recommends approval of these ordinance. 4 years for personal property, and they didn't score enough to get a 9-year abatement, but they did score enough to get a 8-year abatement for real property. We recommend approval.
Any questions for Doug?
Mr. President,
Dr. Wright?
am I to understand you that no new jobs will be created?
No new jobs will be created. They'll just be retaining the 271.
Okay. All right.
Any further questions? Hearing none, we'll open the floor for public hearing. Those wishing to speak for this ordinance, please come forward.
David Carpenter, 400 Richmond Avenue. I just want to say, pertaining to ordinance, how will it affect our community?
I beg your pardon?
How will this ordinance affect our community?
I've asked for either support or not support for the ordinance. What's your position?
Well, yes, sir, you did, but according to the council rules, there's nowhere in the rules that states that a member of the public cannot ask a question regarding the ordinance.
Does it say anything about answers?
It doesn't say it either.
There you go.
But I have asked questions previously and they have been answered. And so I'm just kind of curious as to why sometimes my questions are answered and other times they are not.
Well, generally speaking, when we have a public hearing and we ask for people to speak for or against, that's our intent and our desire. We're not interested in having a conversation with the people.
Yes, sir. I'm not intending to have a conversation. I'm intending to have clarification of my understanding of ordinance, so therefore when I say I'm for or against an ordinance, I have a better understanding. That is why of which I have presented a question to the council.
Well, I don't have an answer for you. Does anyone here on council have the answer he's looking for?
Mr. President,
Yes. Go ahead, Doug. I'm sorry.
as I mentioned in my comments, this will help retain 271 jobs.
See. With that being said, I fully support both ordinances that you have stated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, may I just add for Mr. Carpenter's benefit, it is not as though council doesn't want to or is attempting to evade questions. It's really for efficiency purposes, because you can imagine if we had a line of people that wanted to ask questions. So I would encourage people watching this evening, if you have questions of the council member in your district, take a look at the agenda when it's published early and try to have those conversations. And then when you get here, you can provide your position of support or any objections that you may have. So I just wanted to be clear about that point, that no attempt to sidestep questions, just trying to keep efficiency in the meeting moving forward.
Thank you,
Thank
AJ.
you.
Mr. President, I have a
Thank
comment
you.
on that.
Purcell?
Also, if you will go to my Facebook page, there's a summary of these ordinances that I typed up after the last meeting. It's Councilman Jerry L. Purcell Connect, and I'm summarizing these meetings and the impact of these items on that page.
Thank you.
Mr.
Anyone wishing
President.
to,
I I guess I also would just like to make the comment, I appreciate Mr. Carpenter's questions. I think on occasion, we will get a presentation from a company. Is that often the?
Yes, it
and
does. It
Often
does
that,
happen.
that will help a lot
It does.
in order for them to answer questions
And
now.
we could require that as a part of the abatement process, because it would make sense for a representative to be present to support their application, if you will, for
Sure.
abatement.
Even a brief presentation and then answering questions. Yeah.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you, David, for your interest in just being interested in our community and asking questions and being present here. I want you to know that that's appreciated.
Thank you.
The reason I try to ask questions is for not only my benefit, but also maybe members of the public that might be sitting at home watching, and maybe my questions might be something they might want to ask themselves. And also, I feel as though if we can't ask questions, then we're, in my opinion, are restricting the freedom of speech from our First Amendment Constitution. And I think as part of our country, we should incorporate it. And I do understand that when it comes to questions, it should only pertain to what is being discussed, not just have any random question. But I think it will help the transparency of City Council if that's incorporated into it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Mr. President, may I
Dr.
apologize? Mr. Carpenter, what I'd like to say to you again,
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate your interest, what you can do. If you have questions in the future, if you go onto the Richmond City website, all of our telephone contacts and email addresses are there. That goes for you or anybody that's watching or out in the audience. And if you have questions, by all means, contact us, and we'll be more than willing to, at least, I can only speak for me, I'll be more than willing to try to get you an answer. May not be an answer that you like, but I'll
Sure.
There you
get
go.
you an answer.
And then in some circumstances, if we're on first reading and then we automatically advance to second reading, sometimes a question might come up that you didn't think of at the moment. And once the process has concluded, there is the opportunity to ask something pertaining to the ordinance at the following meeting. But thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anyone wishing to speak against this ordinance?
Move for engrossment.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Call the question.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Doug Goss,
Aye.
Lucinda Wright,
Aye.
Bill Engel,
Aye.
Larry Parker,
Aye.
Ann Taylor, Jane Bubbalo,
Aye.
Jerry Purcell,
Aye.
and Gary Turner. 8 are in favor. We haven't, well, do we have to engross it, and do we have to ask for the question?
I think you've got to read it. 52.
Oh, I thought we already, I'm sorry. You guys are confusing me tonight. Ordinance number 52, 2023, a special ordinance authorizing the approval of a statement of benefits for a property owner applying for deductions under Indiana Code 6.6-1.1-12.1.
I think Doug has already covered this in his earlier remarks, but any questions for Doug before we go to public hearing? Well, then I'll open the floor for those who would like to speak for this ordinance.
David Carpenter, 400 Rich Avenue. As I stated before, I am in support of this ordinance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Those wishing to speak against the ordinance, please come forward.
Move for engrossment.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Call the question.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Doug Goss,
Aye.
Lucinda Wright,
Aye.
Bill Engel,
Aye.
Larry Parker.
Aye.
Ann Taylor.
Aye.
Jane Bumblelow.
Aye.
Jerry Purcell.
Aye.
And Gary Turner.
Aye.
8 are in favor. Ordinance number 56, 2023, a special ordinance authorizing the approval of a statement of benefits for a property owner applying for deductions under Indiana Code 6-1.1-12.1.
Please.
This request is from Liberation Labs. This is for personal property with an estimated investment of over $38 million, and they're requesting for 4 years. Liberation Labs is a new business which will be in our Midwest Industrial Park. They are a startup and will be manufacturing proteins to use in other products. They will be creating 45 jobs with a starting wage of $26.04 plus benefits. They are expected to open in 2025. They are already working with Ivy Tech to create a training program. There will also be an abatement request for real property. They will be filing that soon. So expect another ordinance in the near future. The committee, for some reason, they didn't file all the paperwork for that. The Tax Abatement Committee recommends approval for this request for personal property for 4 years.
Any questions for Mr. Goss? Hearing none, we'll open the floor for public hearing. Those wishing to speak for this ordinance, please come forward.
You're coming for George Avenue. I'm in complete support of this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Those wishing to speak against this ordinance, please come forward.
Move for engrossment.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Call the question.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Doug Goss.
Aye.
Lucinda Wright.
Aye.
Bill Engel.
Aye.
Larry Parker.
Aye.
Ann Taylor.
Aye.
Jane Bumbelow.
Aye.
Jerry Purcell.
Aye.
And Gary Turner.
Aye.
8 are in favor.
I'm not aware of any unfinished business, so I think it's time to adjourn.
Mr. President,
Mr. Purcell,
I don't know
are
where.
you going to surprise me?
Well, sorry, yeah, where we put this, but I wanted to reach out and say thank you to our sanitary district and street department. I made a request, and they promptly got on fixing a storm sewer and sidewalk and curb at 4th and East Streets, and also the police's efficient follow-up on a request for a school zone signage in the 200 block of 5th Street, and I want to publicly thank them for that.
Very
well.
good.
Mr. President,
Mr. Parker?
on ordinance number 1, 2024, has that been stricken or is that just on hold?
I think there's some more information they needed.
Okay. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion.
I second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.